guys? Welcome back to Strong Successful Mail. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. That's from a guy. He is a single father. I'm guessing he's probably late 30s, maybe early 40s or so. And he writes in sharing a story about an old flame, an old ex-girlfriend from like 6 years ago, who he says, upon breaking up, it was amicable. No problem, no ill will, nothing. And since that time, in 6 years, she periodically will call him to see how she's doing. He's not the type to reach out to old flames, but she reaches out to him. She's friendly, so he talks to her. Well, it turns out, to no surprise, that she hasn't gotten over him. And repeatedly she tries to tell him that she misses him, he's the love of her life. He's not interested. Because it didn't work out the first time, he's not going to do it a second time. Well, you're going to see how this gal, seemingly overnight from the last time he talked to her, has gone down the effiness route. She has overnight become a man-hating, blame everything on guys, nut job, crazy as effinist, and has decided to sound off on him for all her troubles in the world. And let's just say our guy here, who is a follower of this channel and obviously lives a life like that, it doesn't go very well for her, and he puts her in her place. Now, I've been entertaining one to go over here because, let's be honest, we all like a good story on occasion about an effinist losing her freaking mind and put in her place. But a more important theme of this story also is that they always come back. If things aren't going in their lives the way they want, they always come back. And sadly, how they put guys they'll keep guys on layaway, they'll be with a boyfriend who they don't really want, but they'll then try to get some other guy, that type of thing you're going to see here. And when things don't work out for them, it's amazing the direction it can go, in this case, embracing the nut job effiness ways. He says, "Hey SSM, I sent you a story a couple years ago that you played on your channel. It was a story about how a gal I was dating got mad that I made plans with my daughter without consulting or asking her first. Well, I have a new one for you. This one is about a different ex, though. To give you some background info, I dated this gal about 5 to 6 years ago. I had to travel to another state for a training event that lasted a few weeks. There was a girl in this training named Katie, and we started hanging out after we were done each day. After the training was over, we decided to stay in touch. I live in the northeast part of the U.S., and she lives in the south. Even though we knew it probably wouldn't work, we decided to try the whole long-distance thing. Smack! They never work. Should have known better. I've done long-distance before and hated it. But I like this girl and just figured the worst-case scenario is we break up. Smack! So you knew it wasn't going to work. You said you hate him anyway. You say, what's the worst-case scenario? We'll break up. Well, okay, but that's easier said than done. First of all, you're wasting your time. Your time is valuable. You're wasting your resources. That's valuable. And you may get attached to this girl and you can deal with yourself with heartache and make bad decisions. So it should have been just, hey, I met this gal at this convention or whatever the hell it was. We had some fun. Maybe you hooked up a couple times. He had a good memory and moved on. But we wouldn't be here having this story if you didn't do that. So we would take turns flying to visit each other. We didn't really fight or anything throughout the relationship, but there were some topics she would avoid talking about, mainly politics, and this would come back up later. Anytime I mentioned anything even remotely political, she would just respond by saying she hates politics and doesn't want to talk about this. Well, there are pros and cons to this. Okay, on the one hand, if you can have two people that get along great together, you're in a relationship and you have a great time together and she's loyal, she's all these good qualities, and you are for her, but you are completely different politically, but it still can work because it can happen, and you just agree not to talk about that shit, then, I could see that part. On the other hand, that could still be problems down the road. So, we could debate about pros and cons of that little scenario there. It says here, anytime I mention anything, even remotely political, she would talk and just say she hates politics and didn't want to talk about this. So I would just change the subject. After about 10 months, we decided it wasn't working. We both really liked each other, but the distance wasn't worth it. It wasn't a bad breakup or anything. It was pretty amicable for the both of us. Well, that's good. Yeah, it wasn't going to work out. If you're a relationship guy, you want to be with a chick that you can see fairly regularly, not, twice a month. The breakup happened almost 6 years ago. Even though the breakup was mutual, I'm not someone who reaches out to my exes, but she would occasionally reach out to me. Of course, she's keeping you around just in case, you know? Lay away, or they always come back. When their lives aren't what they want it to be, they always come back. So, a few times a year, I would get a phone call from her, usually after she started drinking. Drinking and dialing, huh? We'd catch up on things and see how things were going with each other. I don't typically talk to any of my exes, but we ended things in good terms, and I still cared about her, so I didn't mind seeing how she was doing. Okay, so in other words, when you had nothing else really better to do, you take the call, see how she's doing. I mean, you meant her no ill will, but, and that's good, by the way, that you're not... What's the point of dealing with exes? The discussions would always turn into her telling me she missed me, she loves me, and she wished there was a way to be together. What I tell you, they always come back when things aren't going well in their lives. I'll admit it was nice to hear, but I never reciprocated those feelings back to her. Even if I felt the same, I'm not the type of person to express that to someone I'm not currently dating. I would always try to play it off by saying things like, "You're not missing much," or "You picked a shitty person to fall in love with." That probably made her more attracted to you. Fast forward to the end of 2023. She called me up again. We talked for a while. I don't know if she did it on purpose or if it slipped out accidentally, but she made a comment about her boyfriend. I didn't care if she was dating someone. We've been broken up for 5 years, and I've been dating as well. Well, why is she still calling you up if she has a boyfriend? Does the boyfriend know that she's calling you up? What's it say about her character? I asked her why she's calling me if she has a boyfriend. It's not really appropriate to do that, nor is it fair to him. She started telling me that she misses me and loved me. Yeah, we've had this conversation before over the last 6 fucking years, and they've always ended the same. But you have a boyfriend now, and if obviously you're still in love with me, you need to break up with this boyfriend. I didn't really care to participate in the conversation like that if she was with someone. I'd rather not be that guy, so I cut the conversation short and hung up. I thought that was going to be the last time I would hear from her. A couple weeks ago, she called me again. Of course. And he said a couple weeks ago, so a couple weeks ago from when he wrote me this email, whenever it was. I figured if she was calling, she was probably no longer dating someone, which was not the case. We were catching up on how everything was going for each other, but she was a little different. It seemed like she had a different personality than what I remember. She started bringing up topics that she used to refuse to talk about, and it seemed like she just wanted to argue for some reason. Uh-oh. Someone went to a feminist lecture or something. There was even a particular issue which we agreed and had the same opinion about, but she kept arguing with me because the reason I had that opinion was different than the reason she had the opinion. The conversation was just getting really fucking stupid at this point. I had no interest in fighting or arguing, so I kept trying to change the subject, but she would just shift right back to it. Well, this is when you can say to her, "Hey, I don't want to talk about this anymore, and if you keep going back to this thing, well, I'm just going to, end the phone call right now." In an attempt to change the topic, I asked if she was still dating that guy from the last time we talked. After some hesitation, she admitted they were now living together. So still, she's chasing after you. And she's living with this guy. This guy probably has no idea she's doing this. What does it say about her character, who she is? I would have nothing to do with her at this point. I know I should have just gotten off the phone at that point, but for some reason, I did not. So I asked, why was she calling me if she's still with someone and currently living with him? We're all wondering that too. She started telling me that she missed me and loved me, and she thinks we belong together and all that crap. After 6 fucking years, she felt like she was stuck in her current relationship and wasn't sure how to get out. Then you break up with the guy. You're obviously not into him. You have no problem cheating on him because that's what she's doing with this guy here. But no, it's easier just to notice this guy who's telling the story here. She's maintained something with all this time. He's like, she wants him, but still, he's like her backup. And she's with this other guy, right? This is who she is. She's not girlfriend material. She has no loyalty. Then she started talking about other stuff to change the subject. This is where things started to go off the rails. She just started bashing on men. It was like she turned into one of those man-hating effinists. I really had no interest in fighting with her, so I just sat there not saying anything. Well, you sent me your story before, so I think on some level you stayed there listening to her do her psychotic rant about men purely for entertainment purposes, then you can send me your story. So thank you for letting your ears ring with all her FNS bullshit just to send us a good story. She was hitting all the main FNS bullshit points. Men are the problem with the world, they want to control women, blah, blah, blah. Then she says something that I felt I needed to confront her on. She backed herself into a logical corner, and I wasn't going to let her get away with it after talking shit about men. She made the comment that women are just as capable as men and can do anything men can do. Okay, there's a foot of snow out there, honey. Go out and shovel. No! Then she said that I, as a man, need to step up for women when I see them being harassed or see others acting sexist towards them. So I cut her off and I was like, hold on here. I thought women were just as capable of men, and they can do anything men can do. If women can do anything men can do, why can't they fucking stand up for themselves? Amen. Thank you. Why do they need me to do it for them if they're so capable? There was about 3 seconds of total silence as she realized she defeated her own point. You know, her blue hair was just like glowing at that moment. Then she tried to save face by saying she just meant everyone should intervene when they see something is wrong. Well, define wrong. Remember, this is the chick that never wanted to ever, and on any degree, get in anything political with this guy. So we can debate, was she like this all along, but kept it on the down low because she really wanted to be with this guy, and, you know, maybe if he married her, then the FNS nut job would come out. I don't know. I find it very hard that she was with this guy for the period of time they were and had the conversations over the years, and she kept it quiet. We could debate that. So she continued on her man-hating rant. I know I should have just hung up, but I was entertained at this point. Yeah, anyway. She kept going on about how bad men were, and then threw an insult at me because I was a man. I don't tolerate disrespect. I stopped her and said that she will not talk to me like that. Well, good for you. So I think what's going on here is that she's been trying to get you back for years. Her life hasn't gone the way she wanted, and because it isn't working, she's now she's lashing out at you. Now she's probably made some friends at the local, wherever these types hang out. Maybe she took a class on gender studies or women's studies or something like that at the local school. I don't know. Met some like-minded jackasses, and her anger is now being channeled towards men in general because she's not where she wants to be in life and says they're holding us back, even though, take your pick. We can all speculate. I said to her she can either be respectful like I've been this whole time, or we can end the phone call. Well, good luck with that. Then she did it a second time, and I told her if she does it again, I'm just going to hang up. You should have just hung up. A couple minutes later, she says something like, men are shit. And I'm a piece of shit because I'm a man. So I stopped her and you should have fucking hung up. So I stopped her again and said, let me see if I can get this straight. You are in a relationship with a guy that you've been dating for a couple of years and are currently living with. Then you call your ex-boyfriend to tell him that you miss him, you love him, and the two of you belong together. And you have the nerve to call me a piece of shit. Mic drop. Thank you. Exactly. Rules for thee, but not for me. The silence was deafening. For like 10 seconds, she just sat there and couldn't say anything. So I broke the silence and told her. And this is what he says. Having a vagina does not exempt you from being the shitty person you turned into. Oh, I'm sure her tattoos on her forearms are like burning into her skin. Maybe your effing boyfriend lets you talk to him like that, but you will never speak to me like that again. I would appreciate if you left me alone from now on. Then I just hung up. After a couple minutes, she tried calling me a couple times, but I sent a voicemail. She messaged me saying, please pick up, and tried calling a couple more times before giving up for the night. The next day, she tried calling and messaging me again, but I have zero intention of responding. It's just crazy how suddenly she went from a good person to this. Well, I've gotten stories over the years from parents, and it's been a while since I've gotten this, who had these daughters that they were who they were growing up in high school, and then these daughters who they thought were pretty young gals and conservative and all that, and they go off to college or the indoctrination centers, and they take some classes. You see where I'm going with this. And all of a sudden they come back after one semester, freshman year, and their daughter has butched her hair. It's green, tattoos, and all of a sudden she's babbling on about the patriarchy, and they're like, who's this? So there is some trigger that gets these types. I personally think that just simply her life isn't where she wants to be in terms of like the man in her life, maybe no husband, no kids, and she's probably angry about it. And so instead of accepting that she's made some wrong choices, it's easier to get together with other angry as fuck people and decide to just find an excuse to channel that anger at men in general, because she's not with the guy she wants to be, and then be angry about all these things and get riled up, meanwhile with a boyfriend and using him and cheating on him, and then calling you and ranting off and sounding off, trying to sabotage it, and therefore she can say, well, it didn't work out with him because I ruined it, not because he rejected me. We can have all these theories and stuff like that, but the point is, she's fucked up. It's over. Don't talk to her again, and you're going to hear more from her, and you're going to get apologies and stuff. 6 years of talking to her, I mean, come on. What's the goddamn point, And frankly, what you should do is find out who this boyfriend of hers is and say, hey man, just so you're aware, because at this point, the way she treated you so disrespectfully on the phone, and I don't care if she was drinking or not, that's not a fucking excuse. Yeah, warn this guy. Because for obvious reasons. That's what I think you should do. It doesn't have nothing to do with her ever again. But anyhow, there you go, guys. It's amazing what can happen. But I still think that her going down this path and doing a 180 from the girl that you knew, I think she's just pissed off that her life is not what she wants, and she's just going to blame guys for that. And now she's rubbing elbows and rubbing shoulders with a bunch of man haters just like that. Who the fuck knows? But the point is, there you go. Another story about some effing nut job, or a gal who became one. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.